Welcome everyone. Today you are about to hear a real and powerful life story. A story of a woman who became queen at just 18 years old, ruled the largest empire the world had ever seen, loved deeply, lost everything, and still stood strong until her final breath. This story is told slowly, clearly, and emotionally. It is easy to understand, perfect for English learners, and filled with history, love, pain, strength, and destiny. So stay with us until the very end. Victoria's childhood did not feel like a home. It felt like a cage. Her mother, Princess Victoria of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld, was extremely strict, distant, and controlling. Alongside her stood Sir John Conroy, her mother's advisor, a man who controlled almost every part of Victoria's life. Together, they created a cruel system known as the Kensington system. This system was designed to isolate Victoria, weaken her confidence, and keep her completely dependent on them. She was never allowed to walk alone. She could not choose who she ate with. She could not play freely like other children. Even as a teenager, she was forced to sleep in the same room as her mother. She had no real childhood friends. Her only companions were her dogs and her dolls. Her world was quiet, controlled, and lonely. But inside that silence, something powerful was growing. Victoria became a deep reader. She fell in love with books, art, music, and learning. She watched the world quietly and carefully. And she began writing in a private diary, a place where she could finally speak freely. Her spirit did not break, it strengthened. One day, when Victoria was only 8 years old, her life changed without any noise or drama. A teacher showed her a family tree. She slowly followed the lines, moving from name to name, generation to generation. Then she stopped. She realized something shocking. One day, she would be queen. She did not tell anyone. She said nothing to her mother. Nothing to Conroy. That night, she wrote a single sentence in her diary. "I will be good." It was not a childish thought. It was a promise. Her days remained difficult. Her mother was cold and controlling. Victoria often felt unloved. She lived under constant rules, watched, judged, and corrected. Yet she continued to prepare herself. She learned French, German, and Italian. She practiced writing, drawing, and painting. Quietly, patiently, she prepared for a future she knew was coming. At the age of 16, a new feeling entered her lonely life: love. A young man named Prince Albert, her cousin from Germany, came to visit. He was gentle, thoughtful, intelligent, and kind. He spoke softly, played music, and treated Victoria like a person, not a prisoner. For the first time in her life, Victoria felt truly seen. They talked, they laughed, they connected. And then, he left. She was still young, and her mother continued to control every move she made. But deep inside her heart, Victoria knew one thing: Albert would return. In June of 1837, early one quiet morning, Victoria was awakened from sleep. A man entered her room, bowed deeply, and spoke words that changed her life forever. "Your Majesty, the King is dead." Her uncle, King William IV, had passed away. And at just 18 years old, Victoria was now Queen of the United Kingdom. She entered a room filled with powerful men, all older than her, all expecting a weak young girl they could easily control. But Victoria stood tall. She looked each man in the eye. She spoke calmly and confidently. She shocked them all. From that day forward, she took control of her own life. She moved out of Kensington Palace and into Buckingham Palace. And her first royal act was simple but powerful. She removed Sir John Conroy from her life forever. After years of control, Victoria was finally free. But freedom came with heavy responsibility. She had no experience in government, no husband, no one she fully trusted. Many people around her smiled politely while hiding dangerous intentions. She had to learn quickly, and she did. She knew she would not be remembered as a weak queen or a puppet on the throne. She wanted to rule with strength, fairness, and dignity. And she wanted love, not only for herself, but as an example to the world. Albert returned, and this time, everything changed. On October 10, 1839, Prince Albert entered Buckingham Palace. The moment Victoria saw him, her heart reacted before her mind could think. She later wrote in her diary, "It was with some emotion that I beheld Albert." For the first time in British history, a queen proposed to a man. Victoria did not wait. She followed her heart. Albert accepted. On February 10, 1840, Queen Victoria walked toward the altar wearing a white gown, a choice that would change wedding traditions forever. This marriage was not political. It was real love. Albert became her closest advisor, her emotional support, her balance. He never tried to rule over her. He stood beside her. Together, they had 9 children. Their home was filled with life, noise, love, and learning. But happiness did not last forever. Albert worked too hard. He ignored his health. Slowly, his body began to fail. In 1861, he fell seriously ill. Doctors were unsure. Victoria stayed beside him, holding his hand, praying, refusing to accept reality. On December 14, 1861, Albert whispered his final words, "It is too dark to see." And then, he was gone. Victoria did not scream. She did not collapse. She disappeared inside herself. From that moment on, she wore only black. She withdrew from public life. She removed joy from her world. For more than 10 years, she lived in mourning. The people grew angry. The newspapers criticized her. They called her the Widow of Windsor. But they did not understand. She was not only mourning a husband, she was mourning half of her soul. Slowly, duty pulled her back. She returned not as a young queen, but as a symbol of endurance. Her empire stretched across the globe. She became Empress of India, the grandmother of Europe, a living legend. She ruled for more than 60 years. And when she finally died in 1901, the world did not just lose a queen, it lost an era.